Welcome to another Draw Me Thursday Fall Edition. Today we are going to draw a pumpkin spice latte in a pumpkin. Because if we can have clam chowder in a bread bowl, we can have pumpkin spice latte in a pumpkin. So today we're going to do something a little different. Today's drawing does not have color, but it is all pen and pencil. So what do you need for today? You will need a pencil. Today I'm going with the traditional size pencil. I love the Dixon Ticonderoga to draw with. If, your basic school pencil. Don't need anything fancy, as I usually say. I am using these fancy pens. They're Japanese. They're by Tombow. They are brush pens, but you can use any pen or any brush marker. I just prefer these because they come in a, let's see, this is the hard tip. Can't really tell, but this is a hard tip. And then this is the soft tip, which is really great if you're doing brush lettering or for doing like some soft lines. Also, you will need an eraser. And in case you want to get into the mood of fall, I know it's not fall yet technically, but grab a cinnamon stick. It's the inspiration for our pumpkin spice latte today. Can you smell it? Go ahead. Smells good. So before we get started, I want to show you what the rough sketch will look like. First, this is where I was kind of drawing a circle and my little ovals to, as we have done before, make shapes. I don't have a reference today. This is all in my brain. And so this is kind of a fun doodle drawing sketch. And as you can see, I was testing different kinds of pumpkins. Like this one is more smushy, this one is a little taller, and then I was trying to see like, oh, do I want a little vine or anything like that. So then after I had drawn everything, I added a vine as well, and obviously the cinnamon stick, because you need some cinnamon on your pumpkin spice latte to make it spicy. And then what I did was that I redrew it on tracing paper. I wanted to put where my lines were gonna be so it looked a little more cleaned up, and then I went over it with marker. And then I added some details like the cinnamon sprinkles, some details to the leaves, a little swiggle, a little bit of texture to what could be the stem, which is now the handle of the pumpkin spice latte, and then just some lines just to give it a little more dimension. And then finally what I did was I added this black border around, which gives it that kind of sticker look that is quite popular nowadays. And then after that, if you want to color it in, go ahead, color it in, but today I was just going to keep it with just the marker, and that's that. So here we go. So first I want to lay out a general shape, which would be the circle. And this is going to be your pumpkin. And because pumpkins are kind of squashy, I don't want to make a perfect circle. I kind of want to make like a little squashy circle. So practice your circles. This is a good time to kind of get a feel as to what kind of pumpkin shape. But just look at your circle and kind of feel how the pumpkin is going to look. I think that's a good size, good texture. And what I like to do now is kind of divide it up into sections. So I know that the middle section is gonna be like the widest, so I'm gonna put a little oval right there. And then over here is gonna continue the pumpkin. So almost like a C, a backwards C. And then a C over here. Doesn't have to be exact. Pumpkins come in all kinds of shapes. And then following that circle, another little section here, and finally a little section there. And I'm going to darken this section so that when I go on top of it later, I can tell that that's the last section of pumpkin. And here again, and then we'll add just one little one there. Kind of tuck it in there. And then I'm going to concentrate more on the bottom because the top is actually going to have a piece cut off so that we can put the drink in there. So really I want to concentrate on the bottom. So I'm going to darken this a little bit to show the spaces. And a little bit here, a little bit there. And this is where you can kind of experiment and say, hey, I want this a little more square at the bottom. And this one to be a little more rounded. Okay. Then we want to see where our handle is going to be. You can put it on this side or this side. For some reason I like it on this side. So first I'm going to draw the shape of what kind of handle I want. And I know that in the last drawing I did kind of a backwards C. I think today, for this one, I'll do fancy. Kind of like an ear. And because this has some texture to it and it has depth, which means that it's not just flat, you're gonna bring your line out just like that, a little bit curved at the end. And then because you need something to hold on, we're gonna come kind of right around the middle end, come down and around. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't have to be perfect because it's almost like a stem. Okay, so there is the handle. And it'll probably have some lines in it later on. Nice. All right, so where's our pumpkin spice latte gonna go? It's gonna go up here. So this will be the circle where the delicious liquid will go in. Beautiful, yummy. And if it helps a little bit, we can take some of these lines off because we will not need them. So let's pretend we've poured in our pumpkin. Draw those lines there. And we're gonna put some delicious whipped cream on top. The way I like to do my whipped cream to make it look nice and thick, because I love doing the thick whipped cream, is I use the ovals like we did in the ice cream sundae. So I'm gonna draw a big oval on the bottom. Like that. And then I'm going to draw one kind of halfway between here and here. So get another oval slightly smaller. And then again, probably where this line is. One nice tall whip. And then you can kind of shape it after, and a little disc here, which is where the little swirl will go. So let's take off some of these lines, see it better. Now that we've laid out where the whipped cream is going to go, and then we can do some better lines. So this one kind of went there. This one was kind of melting into itself, and then we got the little swoop. I like to do a rounded peak. I just find it's softer. And then we have again to add a little line there to show like it's still coming through. There's still kind of like little layers. And then finally the big layered bottom. I'm just gonna, and again, we'll erase some of these lines so that when you put the tracing paper on top, you don't get confused as to what line is what. It almost looks like a little hat. And then fix the lines how you'd like to see them. I might actually move this like that. Sometimes you just gotta look at it, take a step back. Like, no, that's not where I want the whip to go. There we go. And then we also need the cinnamon stick. So pretend you have a cinnamon stick there. So you don't want to place it like this because it'll fall. Actually, you could use your cinnamon stick and kind of see where would that go. Where would it be resting on the pumpkin inside? Probably somewhere around there. So what I could do is just draw a single line like that. And then what we're gonna do is a little swirl. You can make it as thick as you want. So we're connecting the outside circle of the swirl and this side. And I'm actually, I know in the drawing, the first drawing, I had it kind of tucked behind. But here we're just gonna have it go in front. And because we have it in front, we're going to erase this whipped cream line a little bit. And then this little open space, we want to connect it down like that. Because the cinnamon stick kind of swirls down, and then connect these like that. See the cinnamon stick, I mean this one, I've made it way swirly, but you can kind of tell there has a little swirl on there. Alright. And finally, we had a little vine growing. And you can leave the vine out. I just think it adds a little detail. So just you can swirl it like that. And just follow the line again. Add your leaves. Leaves are just basically little teardrops. And then you could put your little whoop. Actually, I don't want it there. This is why we need an eraser. Sometimes you just have to. There we go. All right. And because we already put the whipped cream on the top, you can kind of add a few more lines to show that it's kind of connecting to the bottom part. So it's not just flat. And then erase some of these middle lines because I don't want to go a stripe right through. Not all pumpkins look like that. So just like a little hint that there's a little space there. And then we can take some of these lines off and add some kind of shadow lines. Just to make it look a little more pumpkin-y. That's good. Awesome. The base, the pumpkin. I am pretty happy with the shape that it is right now, so I'm gonna stick with it. You'll notice that you'll start to get a bit of a rhythm. The lines are gonna be a lot more fluid because you've already drawn it. With a little more intent. See how I took a little bit of this off? I shaved off the pumpkin just a tad. And then let's put that handle back again. It has that little bit of a dip down. And then under here, add a little bit more detail to make it look a little more like it would be as part of a stem. Actually came from the pumpkin. I'm not going to really add any lines right now because I can add those after with my pen or marker. Let's get that whipped cream. I'm still not very happy with that little swirl, so I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Yeah, you know what? I like that much better. And as far as the cinnamon stick, I don't know if I like it in the front. I think I'm gonna change it just for showing that things can change purposes. I mean, it's not bad. I'm gonna leave it in the back. So because I'm leaving it in the back, I'm gonna add that little detail in. Come out from this side, down, and then again. That in back there. Add some additional little lines here. And go on the other side. Switch that down. There we go. And then I do like how the cinnamon is sticking out. It's just that I'm gonna tuck it behind again. So again, coming from the outside part of the swirl, gonna come down, then on the other side, and then we don't want the space to be open, so close these lines inside. There we go. Beautiful. And finally, I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this a little more, I feel like where it was is okay, but I'm gonna make it grow. I'm just gonna leave it like that. So now what I would do, I like to start with my thinner marker, which would be this one. This one is the Tombow, I can never say the name of these, Feduno Shike pens. And if you want to use just a regular Sharpie or two Sharpies, one that's thicker, one that's thinner, that's fine too. Whatever you do, if you're gonna do that, let's go with the thinner one first, and then we're gonna go over our pencil lines. And you could either do this with another sheet of tissue paper, or you could do it here and then simply just erase it after. add just some little details at this point. Your cinnamon dots, which again don't have to be anywhere specific. And you can add more at the top since that's usually where the cinnamon falls. Add as you like. And then we're gonna put some smaller lines on the cinnamon stick. And here I'll add kind of a little dark area for the shadow. And then I'll add my texture lines. So the pumpkin looks like it has a little more body to it. And finally, the stem. It probably has some gnarly lines. And finally, the only thing we have left to do is to add the black border, which basically, if you take your thicker marker, you're just going to add a little bit of dark line to stand out. And then the lines inside would appear thinner. And you do that all the way around. Just on the outside. And an exception is coming up. When we get to the handle, we're going to do the handle like we always do, like we've been doing with the rest of the drawing. But I'm also going to add it to the inside here. There we go. And then if you want, you could add little lines inside these little triangles. That's up to you if you want to add that in. And basically that's okay. There we go. And of course, and that would be your little pumpkin spice latte. Of course, I added some extra details in the finished work, but you can go ahead and add whatever you'd like at this point. You can add color, you can even add some shadows, if you're good with like cross hatching. You could do that. I'll have to give a cross hatching tutorial another time, but basically it's giving the shadows. Just making lines one way and lines the other way. And then as you can see, it gives it kind of a little bit more volume. I like to do that down here as well. And then as you can see, it gives it kind of a little bit more volume. I like to do that down here as well. And this one can just stay like that, actually. You don't even need to cross it after. So.